Good morning, St. Louis. It is 7 a.m. on a Tuesday, so y'all know what time it is. It's time for the St. Louis Hustle Podcast with your boy Cortez Hustle, my girl Michelle. Hey, and today we're talking about the talk, and we talk about that talk that we all have to have as Black parents and as a father of 5 boys. Man, am I good at that talk? We've been having that thing, man. So we're gonna share with you some of our thoughts and insights on the importance of it, maybe some different ways to go about it, but it is critical that we make sure that our young men know, particularly, but also we got to teach our young women the same thing, and particularly if they are in the vehicles with their men, how to respond, and when they're hanging out and that kind of stuff. So it's about to go down, ladies and gentlemen. So we got a very special guest hanging out with us today as well. Comedian J Dub is going to be sharing and weighing in as well. So I can't wait for this episode. Super excited. Do me a huge favor. Comment in the chat where you're from. Drop the name of your business and or your brand and smash that share button, ladies and gentlemen. And let's kick it this morning.
Growing up in St. Louis has never been easy. And most say, if you want to succeed here, that you must leave and put down roots somewhere else because of the strong crabs in a barrel mentality here.
I don't know if I'm just an optimistic person, but to see people like Chuck Berry and Nelly make it in the music industry, or the Roberts brothers and Dave Stewart in business, or William Lacey Clay Jr. in politics, can we blame the city, or is it that people just aren't hungry enough?
We're talking to all of the movers and shakers in this town, from entertainers to politicians, social activists and organizers, and of course, entrepreneurs.
Is there a curse on this city that holds people back? Is there an unseen hand that decides who makes it and who doesn't? You're about to find out.
Welcome to St. Louis Hustle.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the St. Louis Hustle Podcast. I'm your host, Cortez Hustle. That's my girl, Michelle. Hey, and we are coming to you live and direct from the Black Bear Success Mastermind Studios right here in St. Louis, Missouri. If you're not familiar with the Black Bear Success Mastermind, it's a group where Black entrepreneurs, aspiring Black entrepreneurs, and people who just love to support and network with Black entrepreneurs are coming together. We're pooling our resource, shopping with each other, doing business with each other. But more importantly, we're pooling our collective business intellect, sharing best practices. You literally get hundreds of dollars of free tools, resources, and training to help you grow and scale your Black business. Because the mission, Michelle, is to help Black people become the #1 employers of Black people in the next 2 generations. And we do that by focusing on business development, digital marketing. So text Mastermind to 314-866-4053. Again, if you are a business owner, you aspire to be a business owner, or you want to connect and network with Black business owners, text the keyword Mastermind to 314-866-4053 for your special invite, ladies and gentlemen. So, Chalet.
Woo! Man, oh man. I would like to start off. This not the first show of the new year? Well, technically last week was, but we did a review show. So technically this is the first show of the new year, right? So what I did is what I'm purposing to do for the new year, because everybody has New Year's resolutions. I'm gonna do this different. I'm gonna do that different. Here's what I'm gonna do. I am going to Sugar Shack a little bit less this year.
What?
Just a little bit, not too much, because I love a party. It really kind of is. It really kind of is. However, I really believe that it is time. It's always been time, but it's definitely time for me to make that shift into third gear and pick up some momentum and some other things that I'm doing. And I would say this: out of the Sugar Shack. Here's why I'm not opposed to Sugar Shacking. Out of the Sugar Shack was birthed an opportunity. I met this wonderful, wonderful woman there that's 61 years young. She looked like 60 must be the new 40s, because she looked like she's in her 40s. And I call her Queen, but she's just an amazing woman. And she has lived a life. Now, I see her at the Sugar Shack all the time. And she's very poised and just very refined. But she gets up there and cuts loose. And when we had an opportunity to talk, she told me that she wants to start a nonprofit. She has these aspirations of working with young women. She used to be she was a model in her past life. She was a model. Mm-hmm. She modeled in Paris and in London, all over the world. Now as a retiree, I think she's like driving a school bus part-time, but she's an amazing woman and she wants to give back from her life to a group of young ladies. And just through talking and conversation, she's asked me to help her do that. So you know how I am. I'm like, sometimes it don't always come together for myself directly, but when somebody else knock at the door, I'll be like, I gotta be there. So she's gonna help me be there for her, but she can also help me be there for me. So that is why I'm gonna do a little less sugar shacking. It's gonna be for a good cause, though. For a good cause.
Love it.
Yes. How was your weekend? What you do, bro?
It was event filled, Michelle.
Okay.
We got this COVID all around us, so
oh my gosh,
had to go to the hospital on Saturday. Then dad-in-law had to go to the hospital on Sunday. And they up in the same hospital. And mom-in-law is then snuck downstairs to see dad-in-law, and she helping him doing all the stuff that the nurse is supposed to do. And I'm like, lady, this was your opportunity for you to get some rest.
Right. And she said, I got to go take care of the missed stuff.
So we live and we learn. If that ever happens again, Lord forbid, that they have to be in the same situation, they can't be in the same hospital because she ain't get no rest, so she can't get better. Nope. And he worried about her. It's the cutest thing ever, but my Lord.
It is. That's love. That's a testament of Black love right there. I love it.
I'm telling you. So, you know, keeping my wife saying she was a little disturbed by it and, you know, kind of.
I'm sure.
It's one of those things where, you know, I was sharing with my wife, like, man, you know, we got to get some emotional intelligence around here because we are at that age, like where life has run its course for a lot of people we love, and we got to start figuring out how we're going to deal with that. So it was kind of weird. So now
hard talks to have.
We are kind of like, all right, well, three of my sons had it. Both of my in-laws had it. My brother-in-law, my sister-in-law got it for the second time. My other sister-in-law got it for the first time. And I'm like, man, let me keep drinking my coffee with my coconut oil and get my vitamin D up because I don't know if I can afford to have COVID right now, Michelle. I got some things to do. So,
you don't get 2 times around.
Yeah, blessed that everybody is feeling good and doing their thing. So,
good.
That's, you know, looking for them to come out of that thing this week.
Awesome.
Put a lot of people in business this week as well. A lot of people are transitioning to the Black Biz Success app, and I'm helping a lot of people build websites and get their businesses up and running on the platform. So that's super, super awesome as well.
Yes.
So can't wait. But y'all know if y'all been tuning in for any length of time, then y'all know that it is time for the Michelle A. word of the day. So you ready for a good word, Michelle A?
You know what? I'm gonna say this as I sit here because you know, I tell the truth to the people is what we gotta do. I sat down in the hot seat at 2 minutes before we went on. And as I look here at my makeup, I don't know if I'm satisfied with my makeup today. So I really want to run off camera and get my makeup brush and do some things. We got a commercial scheduled this hour. We need a commercial.
No.
Oh damn! That means y'all gonna be looking at these 2 pictures in the background because I'm finna pull what I know I ain't gonna. One day I still believe that the Lord gonna prosper me and I'm gonna be on somebody's TV and I ain't gonna be able to pull the shenanigans that I'm gonna pull. I'm gonna pull some shenanigans today because we got a guest joining us today. So shenanigans are gonna take place as we talk about the talk. But I guess we can go ahead and do the Michelle A. word of the day, and then I'm gonna look at my makeup and be like, I did not blend out. I ain't have no time. Let's do it, because I want to talk about love today. I want to talk about love.
Here we go. The Michelle A. word of the day.
And now the Michelle A. word of the day.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I have to tell the truth because I'm going to be critiquing myself like, dang, I need to do some stuff. Okay, so good morning, everybody. And this is the Michelle A. word of the day. I'm going to make this one quick because I am going to run off camera and I'm going to try to fix some stuff. But anyway, I just want to talk about 2 things today. I want to talk about freedom and I want to talk about love. Okay, now, probably not in the traditional sense of freedom. See, people get the game kind of mixed up. People think when you're free, you get to do anything you want to do, right? I'm free. It's freedom. I can do whatever I want. But I'm here to challenge you, right? I feel free this morning. But I feel free in my relationship with Jesus Christ, right? I'm going somewhere with this, I promise, right? I have to get out of churchy. But in my freedom, in my relationship with Jesus Christ, I feel free because it allows me to do things that when I was really moving according to how the world moved, I felt restraint. Like, oh, you can't do that because you ain't gonna be cool. And you can't do that because people they gonna think this. In my relationship with Christ, I feel so free. I can do a lot of things, right? And not worry about the world. I can do a lot of things and not worry about what people are gonna think. Case in point, loving folks, right? I'm a person that wears my heart on my sleeve. Been like that all my life. But when I was out there in the yonders, folks would make me feel bad about being a person that just loves people or loves life, right? I always get these comments. Why are you so friendly? Why you talk to everybody? Why you do that? Why don't you do the most? It's almost like turn down for what, right? So in my newfound freedom, I'm going to just say I'm free to love. And I believe in telling people that I love them. I am not in love with folks because that's just creepy. But I love people. And I feel no shame about telling people that I love them. And you shouldn't either. So my challenge to you today is find somebody. Well, first of all, you need to find Jesus, but that's a whole nother story. But find somebody and feel free enough to tell them that you love them. No strings attached. You ain't got to do nothing for them. Just have a love for somebody else other than yourself. Now, you got to love yourself first. We all know that. We went through that last year. But once you finish loving on you, find somebody else, tell them that you love them, and see what kind of impact that can make to their day. Told you it wasn't going to be a hard one today. It's real simple. Love on somebody and be free enough to do that. So this is your Michelle A. Word of the Day. I'm Michelle A. There it is. Boom.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. The Michelle A. Word of the Day brought to you by Healing and Humor. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a unique comedy experience coming up in the STL, February 19th, 2022. Save that date, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a very special guest who's going to come talk a little bit more on that as well. But y'all know how we do, man. We literally have a fun topic, but it's a serious topic that we got to bring. But before we introduce that topic, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our very special guest. This is a brother who's very similar. He's almost like the male version of Michelle. He's got I'm telling you, he's got a heart for people.
I'm trying to take that.
Yeah, he's got a heart for people, very similar to Michelle. He's a community activist. He's trying to be there for our youth. He's building programs and really want to see this world become a better place. And after getting to know the brother over the last 3 or 4 months that we've been working together, I just like what I see in terms of who he is and what he wants to do and how he's going about doing it the right way. So I'm going to present to some and introduce to others our good brother, Mr. John J-Dub.
Hey.
Williams. Hey. Good morning, good brother. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. You guys, how y'all doing?
We're doing
good morning.
Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, we getting over COVID over here, y'all.
Lord.
Yeah, my kids were sick, then my wife got COVID, and then I think I just got sick behind her. So we over here roughing it, y'all.
Yeah.
But,
wow.
Thank you for having me on today. I appreciate it.
We're happy to have you, brother. And real quick, I ask everybody that comes on the show the exact same question. So I'm going to ask it to you. Who the heck are you?
Well, J-Dub, first is a God-fearing man, Christian brother, if you want to call that, father of 7, attempting to educate myself my senior year in college, UMSL at economics. I'm a comedian, motivator, and evangelist. I wear a lot of hats, y'all. I wear a lot of hats. That's a quick synopsis, but like you was talking earlier, Michelle, just a God-fearing brother.
Love it. So we're going to go ahead and get into our topic for today. J-Dub, you're welcome to chime in. Then I definitely want to have you talk a little bit more about healing and humor and what brought that about. But let's go ahead and introduce our topic for today. Michelle, you want to do us the honors?
Sure. So today we're going to talk about the talk, right? And so in mainstream America, the talk represents talking about the birds and the bees and all of that and how people come to be. And that's not the talk I'm talking about, right? The talk that we're going to discuss today, it happens in the Black community, and it has happened for generations over. And it is, dare I say, it's almost like a rite to passage. So what is the talk? Well, this is what Wikipedia defines the talk as. The talk is a colloquial, there it is, expression for conversation Black parents in the United States feel compelled to have with their children and teenagers about the dangers they face due to racism or unjust treatment from authority figures, law enforcement, or other parties, and how to de-escalate such encounters. The practice dates back generations and is often, as I mentioned, a rite to passage for Black children. For generations, the talk has been a mainstay in African American families. At some point, Black children all get the warning from their parents, their elders, on how to avoid, survive, and make it through police encounters. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about some of the do's and don'ts for Black and brown people when engaging with the police. We got a couple different scenarios, because when you think about getting stopped by the police, you really think about a traffic stop. Hey, I'm driving along around the stop sign. I did this, I did that. But in a lot of communities, interacting with the police, you can be walking down the street, minding your own daggum business, and you can you can have an encounter with the police. You can be in the store, you can be in the social setting. And what we want to do is just talk through a few of the do's and don'ts. It's real funny, and I want you guys to chime in on this. It's funny how back in the day, right, we Black people have always had this talk, but like when you, for example, when you take the driver's test, they talk about what to do when you get pulled over. And the rules are real simple. Well, you want to comply with the officer, and you want to make sure that you are polite and you sign the ticket. That don't always work for us. Sometimes, not all, that's our prerequisite for this whole discussion. Not all police are the same. Okay, so I love the police. I really do. I support the police. I back the badge whenever I can because I love law. I love the law. You know what I'm saying? When it functions properly, justice and the law, I love it. But there are some policemen that are antagonists, right? Yeah. They pull you over and you try to do what you're supposed to do, but they seem like they pick until they want you to cut up so that they can exert their authority. So it's not like that anymore. So you guys, especially because you guys are, and JW said, you hit me with 7 kids. I was like, whoa. I didn't mean to react on camera. I was like, whoa, 7 kids, whoa. What the ham fat is going on? But you know what? The Lord has said, be fruitful and multiply. And that's what you did. You know your times table's real good. You and Cortez. Y'all was like, keep going. Like, y'all wait, one more. Y'all like y'all had a lever. But put kid like, oh, pull the lever again. Y'all playing the slot machine. You pull it again.
We was obeying the law of the Bible.
There it is. Laws, there it is. Okay. But so let's talk about the talk. You guys have boys, you guys are raising, men, young men. Let's talk about how the talk affected your household.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, it's a great topic, actually. It's funny, back in the day, I'm 53. And so my father, they used to simply, I remember they used to say, just simply keep your hands on the steering wheel. And what that meant was just keep your hands on the steering wheel, keep your mouth shut, and live to see another day. And that was our defense against the police. Now, look, things have changed, as you guys see, where the kids, we have technology that has changed with the cameras, and it actually put the police on Front Street, which actually allowed Black people to challenge the judicial, executive, and legislative branches. But on top of that, what happened is our youth have gotten a little bit more bolder. Yes, they've died, but they kind of did a little Jesus thing, so to speak. Forgive me how I say it, but they died like Mike Brown and some of these other individuals so that America, and American whites as well, could see what was going on. And that was some of the turn to some of these injustices. Not that they're gone, but, and I don't even know if I'm answering your question, but what I'm trying to say is that things have changed so drastically from when I was a kid. And I love to see these kids really being dominant, really being tough, although I don't want to see them die and get shot and killed by the police, but I do love their boldness. So how do you stop the change and the boldness and that's being created by these youth and still keep them alive?
I think when it comes to the talk, I started having the talk early on, and unfortunately with my two older boys, I actually had to live the talk, right? Because they've seen me when in a truck, riding, going from my mom's house back to their grandma's house, my wife's mother, and had traffic tickets, and they actually seen me have to be in compliance, and they witnessed me deal with, like, everybody is entitled to have a bad day, right? Mm-hmm. Except our officers. Now, I hate to say it that way, because them having a bad day and the many interactions that they have with the general public with a deadly weapon attached to their side, it could be very detrimental. So I remember, we right there on Natural Bridge, right in front of North Oak Shopping Center. And, my older boys were worried, they're crying, and I'm like, it's gonna be okay. It was traffic stop, and I had some traffic warrants back in the day, driving foul, bad tags, and all that kind of stuff. So they run your name, pull you over, and if you got too much of that stuff going on, they're just gonna take you in. But I just remember trying to remain calm and trying to live the example of the talk that says, listen, bro, everything is gonna be all right. Yes, sir, no, sir, officer. Here's, what it is. I understand. I might have some outstanding warrants. Yeah, I'm on my knees. Whatever you say goes. So I literally had to live the talk in front of my older boys. And then when they got older, we had to have the talk. And basically, it is as sad as it is, we don't have the authority to question the officers the way our Caucasian brothers and sisters do. And we have to be careful and mindful of that, even when it's done in a very respectful way. Because they take it in a manner of disrespect because of what they have been taught about who we are, right? And what I mean by that is they have been taught that we are an aggressive species of human beings. They have been taught that we are a disrespectful and violent species of human beings. So when we ask a question for them, that is the first instance of defiance. And I'm just saying, sir, do you mind if I change my position while I'm sitting on this rock that's cutting into my leg?
Man.
But that's good too, Brother Cortez, because you just basically, in my brain, it was like, know your law. I think a lot of these brothers are knowing their laws these days. If you look at some of the videos and they're actually challenging the police when they're asking them, can I see your ID? Can I have this? Well, what are you pulling me up for over? And they're starting to know the law. They're starting to ask for the sheriff or the person on duty to come. And so it's getting a little bit better. But I think also what you said, Brother Cortez, is that we've learned, they've learned to hate us, but we've also have learned to hate them. So you know, where is the education? Where is the community outreach as far as the police department is concerned, to let them know? Now, like you said, Shell, I like the police too. I'm cool with Hazelwood Police. I'm cool with Berkeley. They've come to my events and they chaperoned it, so to speak. They're very cordial individuals.
Yeah.
You know, when they're out and about, you know, that they have a bad day. Again, education.
You know what? I want to chime in on a couple things that was said. I think just real quick, just to go back when you made the statement that you made about Michael Brown and some of the others that have lost their lives in police situations. The intent, I'm pretty sure in the midst of these situations, the intent wasn't for these young men to give their lives, right? That wasn't the intent. It is something that happened. These were situations, because I don't think either of them, Mike Brown, any of the other ones, I don't think they woke up that morning and said, hey, I'm gonna go out here and stand for justice and take one to the chin. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
However, we can learn from the tragedy,
right,
and choose to kind of expound for that. So I just want to kind of, because I know that's where you were going with that. You know, I just wanted to kind of make that. But no. And then also, as far as us being educated, right, and us learning some of the laws and such when we get pulled over, because you know, you guys have sons, I have girls, I have 2 girls, and they, similar to Cortez, my children have watched me through the talk. I have girls, but I still gave them the talk. And had to it be the example when I got pulled over and they were in the car, similar to Cortez. They were scared and worried. Is mama going to jail? What's going to happen, etc. And so knowing the laws, I think, is great. However, there is still a conduct that unfortunately has to happen. We know we can't have the same, and you mentioned it, J-Dub, we can't have the same conduct that white folks have when they get pulled over. If you ever watch any of those cop shows and you see like either cops or some of the they have one now, it's a body cam show where they show police pulling people over, and sometimes these folks get, and you know, I love my white folks because I have a lot of white folks I'm really, really close to. Sometimes y'all get a little reckless when y'all talk to the police. They scream at them. I've seen them spit on them, and the police,
what's your badge number, buddy? What's your badge? Your mom. Your freaking mom.
They get crazy.
I'm like, oh, you gonna die. You gonna die today.
Stop. You're right. Thank you. Wait. Help me, Jesus. Number. Thank you for the reenactment. I hate you because that one right there. Yeah. When you see that, you be like, wow. It's like you clench up. You're like, oh, they finna.
You about to die.
You took it. He just spat on you and chest bumped you in traffic, and you gonna tell him, he ain't on the ground yet.
Yeah,
and
come on,
we
partner.
see those things.
That's not good arrest. That's not good arrest behavior.
Right. I want your supervisor.
How did he not die?
Right. How did you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But there's a conduct we have to have. And that's some of the things that we're gonna jump into real quick, because I want to get a couple of these out because I want you guys' feedback on them. There are some do's and don'ts when interacting with the police. You know, if you're stopped on foot, you know, again, we said that at the top of the show. It's not always about being in your vehicle. You could be in Popeyes, minding your own business, trying to get you a 2-piece wing, and you'll say there's something kick off, you know? Yeah. So here's a couple.
Walmart.
Absolutely. Walmart's a great example. So here's a couple do's, and I want to get you guys' feedback. So if you're stopped for questioning by the police, do know that the police, in most situations, they can stop you and question you for any reason at all. Right. And I think that's sometimes where we lose it. We sometimes, and this is not a blanket statement. Please send all your hate mail to that guy over there. There he is. So that guy right there. We get very defensive. If the police says, hey, can I ask you a couple questions? What you want with me? I ain't did nothing. I ain't did. Now, there are some police that are rogue, but again, if you comply, if they ask you a question, answer it. You know, but if they most times, not all, but most times, if the police stop you and ask you questions, they're going somewhere with it. There's a suspicion or there's a reason for the question. So they have the right to do that, right? It's called policing. Unless the police have reasonable suspicion based on specific or clearly describable facts.
Probable cause.
probable cause, right? Unless they have a reason to hold you, normally after they question you, you're gonna be free to go. You know,
Yes.
and I feel like in most situations, sometimes an altercation can come about from they never get to the point of, hey, I just need to ask these questions. Yeah, you're free to go, because we tense up. And before you know it, we never get to why they're asking the questions.
Yeah.
We just get defensive about it, and then it spins out of control. And now you gotta go. They probably was gonna let you leave. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I think
you were gonna make a comment.
I think just like they are not allowed to have bad days, we not allowed to have a bad day in their presence, right?
We really
Any
can.
human being on the planet, police pulls them over or walks up to them, stops them on the wrong day, it could go from 0 to 100 real quick, right?
Absolutely.
And this is where the study and the practice of emotional intelligence comes in.
Love it.
But here's the thing: when some of these encounters happen, when you have a either poorly trained officer or either one, and we hate to even see these coming, ones who do have that racist intent. And the other thing that you add into this mix, Michelle, is their whole merit system a lot of times are tied to the amount of tickets that they write. And like when you have those kinds of things, say, hey, my performance is based on how many people I arrest, how many tickets I write, then they say, in order for me to make this quota, I need to go to what is considered high crime areas. And a lot of cases, that is where Black people populate, because again, they've been educated and trained that Black people commit more crimes than white people, and that's not true. That's a false statement. One of the things one of the things they love to hit us with is the Black on Black crime thing. Well, guess what? Every community commits more crime against its own people than any other race. There's white on white crime that they don't talk about. But in your white communities, most of the burglaries, most of the assaults, most of the fights, most of everything else is them fighting each other. Why? Because they're the only ones in that space.
Right.
So when we're in our communities, if there's criminal element in it, who's being perpetrated against the most? In Asian communities, who's doing the most crime against Asian community? There's Asian gangs and Asian mafia, just like in any other culture. But you only hear this term Black on Black crime to further perpetuate the stereotype that when you go and interact with these people, you are better be prepared to use deadly force. You better be alerted that any sign of defiance, you've got to meet that with 10 times more force and really nip that in the bud. And that's where that whole instant aggression and confrontation comes in. I ask you a question, you see it as defiant, like, excuse me, officer, do you know where the restroom is? Why are you raising your voice? Wait a minute.
I gotta go pee.
Hey, I'd like to add too that we learned that, you know, again, during that Mike Brown time frame, and when we were having our protests, we had learned that the percentages of Black to white stops, we've learned through the black and white, through the numbers, that Black traffic stops were exceeded any other races. We also know that Black imprisonment, we are disproportionately targeted by the police. So that's a habit. That has been going on for such a long time. And again, we've learned those numbers through time. They're trying to change it, but it's still hard for some of these officers to, as you see, we're still getting shot. I just want to go back to the fact of knowing your rights. Going back to what you said, Shell, which was when you get stopped, you have the right to remain silent.
Absolutely.
You know, it's not always an L. If the cop wants to take you to jail and you got and you know you 100, all I'm simply saying is live to see another day and fight in court. We are allowed race, and we like to fight and argue, and then we let our peers. Don't be no punk. Don't let that white man tell you what to. And we have that in our side. So then when we get confronted, man, what you talking about? Blah 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 blah. We are the. I understand the anger, but again, live to see tomorrow and then fight.
I think that's a home thing too. We got to have some onus as Black people. We absolutely do, and I believe that there's an ownership and an onus for us at home to teach our children, aka the talk. Here's what you do: be educated, know your rights. Officer, I want to remain silent. Officer, I'd like to speak to your supervisor. I don't consent to a search. I'd like to speak to your supervisor. You don't have to fly off. And if we teach our children at home, this is how you do it. You be educated. This is how you exert your education. You don't challenge or butt the system. You don't challenge the authority in a exasperous way. You can challenge the authority by simply saying, I choose to remain silent. And if you go to jail, okay, I'm gonna take this ride. I know I get a couple phone calls. I'd like to make my phone calls. No, I don't wish to answer your questions. I'd like to have my attorney or a public defender, whatever. There are ways that we need to go about the conduct, because I really believe that in some of the situations they didn't have to be. You know what I'm saying? Again, we still have to fight, because again, even if someone is a little aggressive in how they express their freedoms or their knowledge of justice, the police, like Cortez said, you can't have a bad day. You don't get the right to club me in the head because I challenged what you said, or you didn't like the way I said what I said. You know what I'm saying? So one of the things I want to point out, we were talking about some of the dues, be compliant. You can know the law, just be, watch your conduct. Some of the don'ts, and this is something I've experienced in my own family. With running for the police, I had a cousin, him and his friends, and this happens in a lot of urban communities. My cousin and his friends were hanging out on the south side, sitting on the stoop, smoking. I think they were smoking weed, drinking beer, young guy things, whatever. And the police pull up, everybody broke and ran. Everybody just took off running. And which made he got chased down the gangway by a policeman. And the story never was straight. It was only my cousin, and he was about 19 at the time, 20. He had just become a father. And in this gangway, he was handcuffed, thrown on the ground, tackled on the ground, handcuffed on the ground, stood up and was walking. They were walking him out of the gangway. It was one cop. And he said that my cousin went for his gun while he was in handcuffs. And another scuffle ensued and he shot. Of course, the family, we was like, well, he was in handcuffs. You had to drag him out of the, because there were onlookers and people there, whatever. And he went for my gun, which is pretty common for the police. Sometimes, I thought he was gonna, but if you don't run.
I think that is my biggest issue is that line right there. I feared for my life.
Absolutely.
That's the new one.
If there is anyone, and I'm not saying that being a police officer is not a job that takes a tremendous amount of courage every single day. And I understand that they put their lives on the line for us, right? But some of these so-called attacks by the perpetrators that end up losing their lives. Funny to me that you are the one with 4 or 5 weapons on you. You are the one with bulletproof vests on. You are the one that's tactically trained to fight and wrestle and do all of these things. And it's like, why are you so cotton picking scared? And our communities, at the slightest sign of whatever, especially now I get that if you are in a situation and you are one officer and you are surrounded by a mob of Black people, right? But sometimes in the case of a one-on-one situation, or sometimes it's 2 or 3 of y'all and 1 or 2. Wait, y'all the ones with the guns. Y'all the ones with the vests on. Y'all the ones with got the people in handcuffs. Why you still scared when the people are in handcuffs? Like things of that nature. I remember watching one of the video clips where they shot the brother with a knife. It's like, wait a minute, this guy has a knife and he's 20 feet away from you.
Right.
And because he start coming towards you or he's waving the knife around, you fear for your life from someone with a knife 25 feet away from you. And then I get the sense, and this is just me and my personal feeling, I don't know if this is how they're trained, but then when one shot goes off,
everybody
start shooting.
Everybody.
Like one shot can take a man down. We know that. So one shot goes off, and then everybody
starts shooting.
Empties their clip. And I'm like, that to me is just
crazy.
Sounds like to me a good old boys. Let me get one in too.
Because I got him
now we know
it's justified. Now
it's crazy, but we know they have a terribly difficult job. But I think this is where we go back to some old school rules and laws. Number one,
saw the videos where they have the white dudes, and the white dudes got a knife and they tase them. See, that's a whole different mindset because they shooting the brothers. But how many videos did you see where a white boy is acting a plumb fool and they are a little bit more lackadaisical about the arrest?
Absolutely.
It's a mindset, man.
It is, because again, they have been trained and taught that we are
violent predators,
right?
According to Hillary Clinton. Predators. Right. See, it's a media thing, man. And this is what's beautiful about your podcast, because as a black man and black so-called black issues that need to be addressed. See, because you ain't gonna get ABC, NBC, and CBS or none of that. That's why they don't get me started. But they ain't gonna talk, because you can look at any one of those stations and they'll tell you 3 different things about what black people are doing. So until black people got their own stuff, man, we gonna until somebody black represents, the white folks gonna be uneducated and the black people gonna be uneducated. Yeah, because it's media. They call us predators, man. Predators.
Yeah, and that's part of the deal. And I often say this is why my mission is to bring economic empowerment to our community, because until we own our communities, we can never dictate who polices them, right?
Yeah.
And there was a time where by law you had to live in the area that you policed. Right.
Yep. Used to be.
Now, this is a different mindset. Like, I'm not approaching your child or your husband or your daughter or your wife with deadly force when everybody in the community knows where I live.
Period.
That's a different. It's just a different mindset and mentality. And then from the more socially responsible angle, I'm part of the community. I live in the community. These people are going to see me at the gas station, at the grocery store, because I'm part of the community. I know the children, and I know those who are truly bad apples. And then I also know those who may be just acting out because they lost a mom or a dad, or they're going through a rough part of life, which we all go through. So I think those 2 things are part of the solution. We've got to own our own community so that we can dictate who polices those. And then in the meantime, we've got to fight to get legislation back that says, listen, we need you to live in or be in a major part of the communities that you're policing. You can't come to this community with an attitude of I'm better than, or these people don't deserve, or that. I think that's part of the problem, when you don't see us as human, you don't see us as equal, you don't see us as being able to make mistakes, right? I remember being a kid. And this is how the criminal justice system is systematically racist, right? You got a white kid, you got a black kid. Both kids are doing what kids do, throwing rocks in an abandoned building, right? That's what kids do. You see an abandoned building, you want to test out your arm strength, you want to see if you can break a window, right?
That's a boy thing.
But when you show up, when a cop shows up, black kid is a menace to society. He goes to jail and he gets put in the system.
Right.
White kid, cop shows up, same cop, because he has a different vision of that child's future. He needs a stern talking to. Let me take you to your parents and let me tell you in front of your parents why this is wrong, and you get a second chance. And then the same thing happens in high school. The same black kid now is a little bit older, getting picked on. He has a fight. Now that kid is going to juvenile detention for having a fight. Not just having a fight, but because also he has that previous incident in his records.
And they're giving kids felonies now.
Like a repeat offender. White kid, same thing, picked on, has a fight. He's defending himself against a bully. But also, he doesn't have a negative mark on his record because he was showed grace when he was vandalizing a building. And that happens repetitively and systematically. And all of a sudden, you get to age 21 and you've had these several different minor misdemeanor encounters with police, but
they can't get a job.
Like a felon. The same things happening in other cultures, but because I see a future for this kid, because I used to be this kid, and this kid could turn out being a cop like me. This kid could turn out being an attorney like my sister. This kid can turn out being a state representative like my brother. I want to give this kid multiple chances to recover and get their lives on track. And that's not how they see us. Therefore, the way they treat us has a lot to do with the way they see us. And to J Dub's point, the way they see us has a lot to do with the media's picture of us. And all of that has to change.
And that's a great, I'm sorry, go ahead, Chef.
No, I just wanted to piggyback on what you said. I think it comes down, you were just talking about Cortez, emotional intelligence. There's also relational intelligence, right? Yeah. The policeman, he didn't see himself, he can't relate. So yeah, he related to the white kid because, oh, that used to be me, or it could have been me. He can't relate to this African-American, right? Which I think goes back to when, and we talked about this back around the George Floyd incident, when we did our show on that. But it goes back to when they hire policemen, right? You're right. It's hard to be. I would imagine it's a tough job because you have to make split-second decisions. Yeah. You have a moment's notice to make a decision that could take your life. It could cause someone to lose their life, themselves or someone else. So that's not an easy feat. You know, that's something that's a weight to carry every day. However, I believe that, and I'm not sure that they do this. I ain't talked to enough cops to find out how in depth they do, but you can tell by the way they police it. They don't. The psych exam that they put one through, because you have a lot of policemen out here that I was bullied as a kid, and you remind me of my bully, and that's why I'm gonna do this. And so a lot of times they become a policeman because they feel like it's their way to be even in life. It's their way to get back. I'm gonna get back. I'm gonna get back for all the kids that did me wrong. In their mind, there's a part that wants justice that they never got. So they're going to inflict that, regardless of what they're trained on. Now I'm gonna inflict this justice because you know what? I was picked on. I was the lowly kid, and this is my opportunity to have power. But again, if they are in the police academy, if they're doing full psychological exams, relational psychological exams, then I think some of that can be weeded out. It is one of those things, and I think it makes a big difference. We'd see a difference in our policemen if they did more psychological review before they put a gun and a taser in these people's hands and send them out on the street, black or white. Because guess what? I hate to say it, and I don't want to be that one on the show. Black cops unfairly shoot people too. It happens because I think they're in that. Now you see it more white cops or it's shown more in the media, but there are accidental shootings. There are, oops, I didn't mean to shoot him shootings. There are, oh, I thought he was going to hurt me shootings that Black officers commit. And I think it comes down to when they put the police in position and they're not a right fit for the job. Like sometimes you shouldn't have to be certifiably crazy to get turned down for the job.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And there's some people that are not certifiably give me my nice white jacket crazy, but there are some people that shouldn't be behind a badge and have a gun.
Yeah,
and if they were doing deep enough evaluations, we would kind of sift out some of that.
Yeah, but it was a supply and demand type of situation where they
just can't be.
It's like teachers. They got to get somebody on, but they hustling backwards.
Yeah, they a lot of them also come from military backgrounds, right?
Boom.
And they should definitely be evaluated a lot more. And when you go back to the beginning and the origins of the institution, right? Police officers came from paddy rollers. Paddy rollers were those who went and chased down runaway slaves. And that whole dynamic has also influenced how the whole institution was built, right? Polices were basically created to protect people's property, right? Starting with the property of slaves and then moved on to the property of buildings and all of that kind of stuff. So the entire thing needs to be revamped in how they approach. We
Absolutely.
also have to continue to have these discussions on how we think policing should go in our communities, and because it's not an easy thing, and there's no easy solution. But the question is, are they looking for viable solutions for the institutions as a whole, or is the system working the way they want it to work? And we'll have another show on mass incarceration, the school to prison pipeline, and all those various things.
Yeah,
but
man.
Let's do this though before we go. J-Dub.
Yes, sir.
Tell us all about Humor to Healing, and how did that whole concept come to be? We got about 6 minutes, but I really want you to talk about that, and we'll turn on to a lighter note. And what can people expect when they come out February 19th? No
doubt. Well, the Humor to Healing was derived from another podcast type with the Rev, one of the comedians and a friend, and me and Michelle. And so we were on Rev's podcast, and Michelle was actually speaking about her relationship with you, Cortez, and her book. And from my understanding, Rev had said something on the line that we should make a show or something like that. And I grabbed onto it, and we said, me and Michelle said, hey, look, let's roll with this. And of course, she said, I know a brother named Cortez who can help us package this together. So that was the mindset. But the Healing to Humor show, with Michelle's particular situation, I don't know what folks know, but we all have. Okay, so Michelle's rape, my alcoholism. Rev stated that he had been sexually molested, and of course, Reggie was a police officer who got incarcerated by a drug situation through the police department. So what we're trying to do is be transparent and let everybody know that, hey, we have situations too. We have personal situations, but we can overcome. I'll go on for days, but it took me a long time to figure out what direction I wanted to go with. I didn't want to just talk about the downs of alcoholism. And it came to me like basically the other day, talk to the people and tell them how they might be able to be uplifted by their own plight instead of just, so I can talk about my alcoholism and let that be, it's not just addiction, it's about overcoming. Do you agree, Shell?
I totally agree. I'm super excited. I think people can also look forward to, we're going to laugh. We're going to laugh. However, we also gonna get to the healing. I know when we all came together in discussion, when this whole thing was birthed, it was about being transparent, as you said, but it was also about sharing our stories, but not just leaving people there. We wanted people to be able to come and observe a platform where comedians, or dare I call us artists, we share what we do with the gifting God gave us and being funny and entertaining, but then we're also going to show that, on the other side of that, we just like anybody else. And we have those plights and those stories. But here's the difference. We're not going to leave you laying in the dirt, as J-Dub said. We want to tell you this is how we overcame, and encourage people that they can overcome as well. Thus the healing part of it. So you're going to get the humor, but we also want to help usher in healing by having conversations that, when we'll talk about this stuff in church, when we'll talk about rape in church, when I want to talk about molestation and alcoholism in church, and we're going to do just that. You know, and so I'm excited. There's, we're going to take this thing on the road, and we're going to go to anybody that'll have us, churches, community centers, etc., where we can come and be funny, but we can share our story. I applaud you, J-Dub, for, though it was a conversation that we had on, like I said, on an adjacent podcast, shout out to Rev. But I applaud you for taking the bull by the horns and pushing. You were the ant that pushed that rock uphill. You're like, you know what? We really need to do this. And you grabbed home and you pushed this thing and helped get legs on it. And your enthusiasm about it helped me to be enthusiastic about it. It helped me start knocking on doors and say, hey, I know a guy. And Cortez, I think you know by now. I would just drag you in all kind of stuff. I would just come get you by the collar, be like, hey, come on, we got work to do. And this was a great fit, because I think it's going to yield fruit that St. Louis needs. We need to eat. St. Louis, this the fruit we need to eat. Healing. Yeah,
absolutely. So you guys make sure you want to get your tickets. Go to J-Dub Presents STL. That is JDUBB, 2 B's in J-Dub Presents STL.com. We're also looking for those who might be interested in sponsoring this event. We would definitely love to have some mental health professionals on hand. I think we're really close to bringing a group on, and I'll tell you about that in coming shows. But also, there's a lot of different ways that you can help sponsor the event. You can definitely provide us with a check, right? That's number one. But also, maybe you want to donate your services. Maybe you want to got some products that you can put in a swag bag. Maybe you got some coupons or some discounts that you can give on your services to our participating audience. But again, that's JDubPresentsSTL.com to get your tickets. And if you want to be a sponsor, you can connect with us through that same medium as well. J-Dub, do you have a phone number that they can reach you on?
Sure. I can be reached at 314-339-9086. And I would like to add, as if the folks did not catch the fact that this is going to be an ongoing show. This is going to be a brand show. We're going to keep this moving across the state and across the country. So your donations is not just a one-time donation. Your donation is going to be a donation of continual usage, because we're, well, I don't know how far I can go, but there are some things that we're trying to purchase that with the signs, the humor to healing signs and the humor to healing things. We're going to be taking those things from show to show. So your investment and your donation with humor to healing, again, is a continual investment. You will see your investment continue to spread. Is that fair to say?
That is, and we are out of time, ladies and gentlemen. So until we talk to you next time, get your money up, because you absolutely can do it. But more importantly, you deserve to do it, each and every single one of you. Now hustle up.